There's no way it's that cheap. Poland feels so safe. That's probably the only negative I got so far. What is up? Welcome back. Today I'm reacting to a video titled Poland is the Real Europe. I was shocked. This video comes from Travel with Ben. I've been to a lot of countries in Europe, so I'm excited to see what he has to say about Poland. If you're new here, what's up? My name's Aaron, and this is Aaron Arnold Reacts. Through this channel, I discover everything about Europe. Culture, cities, people, food. So if you want to see more like this in the future, go ahead and like and subscribe. Now, let's see why Poland's the real Europe.
When most people think of Europe, they think of London, Paris, Rome, Barcelona.
Fair enough.
Right now, I'm in Krakow, Poland. This is my first visit to Poland ever, and I am absolutely shocked at what Poland is really like. Because when you visit these major cities around Europe, how many of them actually feel like Europe? Let me tell you, Poland feels like Europe, and I'm so surprised. So right now, I am in the center of Krakow. This is the main square, and we're gonna walk around the old town today. It is a Tuesday, and it is 11:20. Of course, I know it's a very controversial thing to say that Poland feels like Europe, and maybe the other countries around Europe don't feel like Europe anymore. It makes me extremely sad, actually, because I'm from the UK. I grew up in London. I live in London, and London doesn't feel like Europe.
Already speaking on Hot Topic right now, apparently London just isn't the same these days. I haven't been, but I need to react more to London. From what he's saying, Poland is the new Western Europe. Apparently you got to be in Poland.
Doesn't feel like Europe. London doesn't even feel like the UK, but right here in Poland, it feels like Europe. Krakow feels like a European city should feel like. And this is the key word, should, because it completely depends what is your definition of what Europe should look like and what it should feel like. So everything that I say in this video is completely my opinion. Of course, it's relative. What your idea of Europe is completely different from mine. So all I'm doing is just giving my opinion from my own experience, because I've been to all of these places. I've been to all of the major cities around Europe, and right now I'm in Poland for the first time. And I had this opinion about Poland in my mind before I came here, and it's not what I expected at all. So let's walk around the old town a little bit. There are so many people in the square right now. There's a lot of school trips, there's a lot of tourists, and the weather is beautiful. So let's walk and let's talk about a very, very controversial topic. By the way, I know that it's probably unfair for me to compare Rome and Barcelona to places like this. So in my mind, they're more similar to like a Budapest or like a Prague or Amsterdam or a Copenhagen maybe, and they are extremely different to those cities. And the first major difference that I've seen from Krakow to the other cities that I just talked about is, so right now I'm in the most touristy place in the whole city. This is the main square. There's a lot of bars, there's a lot of restaurants, and it is so cheap here. Like not a little bit cheap, no, it is absolutely ridiculous how cheap it is here. I can sit down in the main square, the most touristy place in the whole city, and I can have a very nice dinner for $5 or $6 US.
Hold on a second. He said $5 or $6 US. I don't think he's telling the truth. There's no way it's that cheap. 5 or 6 USD? That's like 5 euros. There's no way you can have a full meal in Krakow, Poland for 5 euros.
And I can have a very nice dinner for $5 or $6 US. It's absolutely incredible. I can walk over there right now and get a beer for $2. You cannot do this in the other cities. That definitely can't do it in London, Barcelona, but you can't even do it. I mean, Copenhagen is just ridiculously overpriced. I think Copenhagen is one of the most overrated cities in Europe.
Already throwing hot takes around. Copenhagen was actually the first city I visited when I visited Europe. It was the very first place I ever came to in Europe. So I have a very nice memory of Copenhagen, but it's so expensive, just like he's saying.
The most overrated cities in Europe. It's very, very nice, but I don't think it's worth the price. But places like Prague and Budapest, I do think that the prices are increasing so much in the last few years.
Fair enough.
They're not budget trips anymore. But Krakow, you can definitely do it on a budget. It's so cheap here. I have been here for a few days, and over the weekend there were so many tourists. A lot of British people come here actually just for the weekend, literally just to drink beer. Just because it's so cheap here, you get a lot of stag do's, which are bachelor parties. You get so many groups, and there was a lot on the weekend, a lot of tourists. So let's walk around the old town a little bit. So
it's beautiful.
There was no fighting in World War II in the city of Krakow. So all of these buildings are from before the war. They're extremely old, and the city looks beautiful. It's so nice. There's no skyscrapers. It's a very, very, very nice looking city. By the way, later today I have a flight to another Polish city, so this is the only Polish city that I've seen. So I don't know if the whole of Poland is like this.
Wonder where he's going.
I know that in Warsaw, the whole city was destroyed in World War II, so all of that stuff is pretty new. By the way, going back to money for a second, Poland does not use euros. They have their own currency, and usually this makes a country cheaper if they don't use euros. But Norway, Sweden, Denmark, they all have their own currency and they're extremely expensive. Many people enjoying their brunch and lunch in the square. Another big difference between Krakow and, let's say, Barcelona, Rome, Paris. This city is extremely clean. Paris is filthy. Barcelona is filthy. But here, the streets are very, very clean. And something that you're going to see so much of is school trips. So many kids absolutely everywhere, and tours. So many tours going on.
From my understanding, that's normal in Europe. Field trips are happening all the time in the city center. In America, that doesn't happen. So that's actually really shocking to me. Oh, beautiful church. I thought most European cities now used a bus, but it looks like Krakow uses a tram. It's interesting. Wow, it's so sunny. I got a comment on his camera work. His camera is all over the place and it's always crooked. I don't know if he's trying to hide it or what, but it's literally never straight up and down. That's probably the only negative I got so far. Yeah. I feel like my head's always doing this. Wow, the market looks amazing. That's really cool. Is this like right in the center?
And the next thing that I've noticed between Poland and the rest of Europe is I feel extremely safe here in Poland.
I love that.
Apparently this is not reality, because when I looked up the safest countries in the EU, the safest countries in Europe, I was absolutely flabbergasted to find out that countries like Portugal and Finland ranked safer than Poland. Absolutely no way. I'm not saying this is wrong, but in my feeling, in my experience, I feel so much safer here in Krakow than I did in Lisbon or Helsinki. No doubt in my mind.
All right, I've actually heard that on a lot of videos that I've watched and reacted to. Poland feels so safe. Apparently these other European countries just aren't the same anymore. They're a lot more dangerous, but I'm really excited to hear that Poland is an incredibly safe country.
Lisbon or Helsinki, no doubt in my mind. And if I compare it to the other cities that we talked about, Prague, Budapest, Amsterdam, Copenhagen, I still feel so much safer here than I did in all of those other cities. So I was so shocked when I saw the ranking for the safest countries in Europe. By the way, I'm not saying bad stuff does not happen in Poland. I have a list of negatives about Poland, which I'm going to talk about in a second, because of course nowhere is perfect. Absolutely nowhere is perfect. But this just doesn't feel like the rest of Europe, and it's kind of sad really, because you think about the other cities. London, one of the most historic cities in the world, doesn't feel like Europe, and it's so sad. Even Barcelona, Paris, like these cities that we talked about, it doesn't feel like Europe. But then it goes back to, what is Europe? What does Europe feel like? And in my mind, in my feeling, in my, in my experience, this feels so much more like Europe than the other cities.
Real Europe.
I completely understand it's extremely confusing because I'm having a hard time explaining myself, but what I'm seeing and what I'm feeling, this is what in my mind Europe should be like. And it's sad that it's not, to be honest, just because everybody goes to Barcelona, everybody goes to Prague and Copenhagen and these cities, and you don't hear anybody talking about Poland. And am I saying that this is better than those cities? No. Am I saying that it's more exciting to come here than those cities? No, absolutely not. And when I talk about the negatives in a second, you'll realize that yes, I am recommending you check out Poland, but then I'm also recommending that you don't check out Poland for certain reasons. So what makes a country Europe?
All right, what's he gonna say here?
What it feels like, the people. I think it's a combination of all of them, to be honest. And I know some people are going to go in the comments, are going to talk about politics, are going to talk about all kinds of crazy stuff, but this is literally what I feel and what I see, because I've been to all of these countries, I film videos in all of these countries, and I give my honest opinion about all of them.
All right, he's giving a long disclaimer
here. It's kind
of
sad what Europe has become, and all you have to do is just watch the news, and you have to go to these countries and see the state of Europe. Like, it's absolutely
still feel like it's in a great way.
Europe has become, but it hasn't made it to Poland yet. So the stuff that I see on the news about the rest of Europe, it's not happening to Poland. And to be honest, it's kind of crazy to say that, because the Czech Republic is literally just over there. Like, Prague is not that far away. Germany also borders Poland, and those countries are so different. And it doesn't feel like Europe. Like, I've said it 100 times, and I'm really trying my best to explain it, but you just have to come here and see it for yourself. But those countries don't feel like Europe anymore. So let's talk about the Polish people for a second. It is not essential, but it's definitely a bonus that many people here speak very good English. That always helps. And there are beautiful women everywhere. Polish women are absolutely stunning. They're very slim and elegant. They take care of their appearance. So
that's a nice compliment.
Very, very nice. So let's talk about some negatives for a second. Of course, nowhere is perfect, but there are some homeless people here. Not too many, to be honest, and the main train station is just over there. Not too many. There's no homeless camps in the park, and there's no drunk people in the park.
Okay,
and
that's
if you go
good.
to so many other cities around Europe, you're going to see so many drunk people in the morning. You're going to see so many people sleeping in the park. You're going to see literal homeless camps. There are homeless people here, but nowhere near as many as the other cities around Europe.
I didn't think there was a lot in Poland.
The next negative is graffiti. There is graffiti absolutely everywhere, just like many other cities and countries around Europe. It is horrible. It's one of my things that bothers me so much. I don't get graffiti. It's so ugly. It's so unnecessary, but there is a lot of graffiti in the city. Another thing that's obvious, and you'll definitely notice it if you go to some of the other cities, especially Rome, you can't even walk down the street without somebody bothering you, trying to sell you something, trying to scam you. Nobody is bothering you here. You can walk down the street, nobody's hassling you.
That's great. They're renovating that church, I can see. Pigeons everywhere.
Everybody's looking at the trumpet player up there.
Oh, where is it? I don't see it. I'm not seeing it. I wish he would have circled it. I don't see it anywhere.
There he is.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, there we go.
So a few more negatives that I've noticed about Poland. Smoking. Seems like every single person smokes, every single kid is vaping. It is disgusting. So
vapes are everywhere though. Everybody's doing that.
Another thing is the cars drive so fast. It is ridiculous. And the scooters,
they're whipping it through the streets.
Scooters that people just pick up and drop off, people drive them so fast. Like they go on the pavement, they're going through the square, but they're going so fast, it's so dangerous. And I think the biggest negative about Poland, to be honest, is it's not that exciting. So yes, all the other stuff that I talked about is so affordable, it's so safe here, but you're going to struggle to find things to do. And like I said, this is the only city that I've been to, so I'm just judging on this city. But I've been here for 5 days and I've struggled to find videos to film, to be honest.
You just gotta eat and drink in Poland.
It's a nice looking city, and like I said, it's safe and affordable, but not the most exciting place. And when I looked up things to do in Krakow, most of the stuff was like to do with the war,
museums,
and it was to do with some bad stuff. So I don't want to film those kind of videos, so I haven't been able to film every single day just because there's not that much exciting stuff going on. I would love to see the rest of the country.
That might be a
stretch. Like I said, tonight I'm flying to another Polish city, so I get to see that, but yeah, not the most exciting place. Here is that graffiti. So if you look at the map of Krakow, you can see that the old town is in the middle, and on the outside is a park called Planty. So let's walk in the park just a little bit, and as you can see, there are no tents.
Nice.
There are no homeless camps.
So green.
There are no drunk people shouting at people. Extremely different to many cities in Europe. People are just relaxing, enjoying the sunshine, eating their lunch. Nobody is threatening anybody. Nobody's playing loud music. Nobody's shouting. Very, very different from many cities in Europe. Because I know if you visit some parks in Paris and London and Barcelona, you're going to see drunk guys 10 o'clock in the morning. Maybe they're going to be threatening people, shouting, being annoying. Haven't seen that here. And one other thing I'm going to mention about Poland, if you are not aware, is right now it's June, the weather is beautiful, but don't come here in the winter. It gets extremely cold.
All right, I really liked what he had to say. He gave positives and negatives, which is fair. He's not going to like everything, I guess. But this looks absolutely amazing to me. I want to go to Krakow. This is high on my list. I've heard Poland is an incredible country. Yeah, so I want to go. If you've enjoyed this video and you want to keep learning about Europe with me, discovering cities, countries, football, culture, people, food, make sure to like and subscribe. And I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.